imperfections, and Brazil does not need more encouragement.
I understand in terms of your writing process, there's a distillation element going on where you're peeling back the layers and removing the unnecessary elements. And is that way of working for you something that just serves you well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I find with me, there's a lot of maybe, I don't know, sometimes you have to think about what it is you're really trying to say, and if you're trying to change it in some way in order to be perceived in a certain way. And so there's all sorts of reasons that you're peeling back the layers, because I want it to be as close to the truth as, at least as I'm able, and as much as I'm able to be, or to the extent that I'm able to be honest with myself.
3 albums in, and the progression is great. And Geraldine, I wanted to ask you, here's you talking to the late Geraldine Page on this song, and where did the idea stem from? How did this idea arise for you?
I think it's probably just a really childish thing of me wanting to surround myself with all the things that I like, so putting her into a song, because I always really liked her as an actress. I thought she was extremely interesting as a performer, and she was also in one of my favorite, if not my favorite, one of my top 2 or top 3 Woody Allen movies, Interiors, and that's sort of where I fell in love with her.
You mentioned death and how it can be really horrible and life-affirming in a way, but you stated as individuals we have difficulties and it's important to realize our own problems, but others have anguish and torture going on in their lives, which is unspeakable. And and you mentioned that song, the title song, with those aspects in mind. It's a positive song for you.
It's a very positive song for me. It's positive. It sounds dark, but when you see the way some children deal with cancer, I haven't had fortunately I haven't had a child, and I haven't had a child that had to deal with cancer, but I imagine it's got to be one of the most horrifying things to go through for the child and the family surrounding that, because I can't imagine anything more horrible than seeing your child go through something like that. But I haven't experienced the type of love that that one has for a child, so I can only imagine. But it seems like you see children dealing with it, putting on a brave face and dealing with it in ways that make you look at your daily life and think, what have you got to complain about?
Absolutely, yeah.
What is it? But the thing is, we cannot dismiss the things that have shaped us, and the negative things, the trauma that we've experienced as children. Also, you got to have compassion for yourself as well. You can't just negate your problems and say, because there's a child that has cancer, I don't exist. That doesn't work either. It's extremes. But I'm sort of talking about myself. I tend to go to extremes all the time. I got to be black and white, and it's not that way.
The theme of anger, and I wanted to get your views on this. And you've mentioned growing up and being homosexual. There wasn't much help at home. There wasn't much help at school, and you had no one to talk to. And you are filled with sorrow when you think about the cocaine and the booze and how that came into play. And you wish sometimes you could go back and be violent about people that said that you don't deserve to breathe the same air as them. Tell us more about
people physically attacking you or verbally attacking you, which was people just sort of humiliating you in public, and you sort of, I talk about it sort of in the third person almost, because it's difficult to say that I wasn't able to stand up for myself quite often, because I felt like I was getting what I deserved. That's probably the thing that fills me with the most anger and sorrow.
But you also have a great deal of compassion with people who don't fit in. And you have an outpouring of letters from individuals who connect with you, and that must be so humbling to experience that.
It is very humbling. It's humbling and it's uplifting, because I need to hear their stories too, because it's, it isn't about me. It's just about, I'm basically just, this is sort of an anthropological study of one tiny little speck of sand, on this beach of humanity, and it's neither more or less important than any other story, you know. But it's mine, and it's the one that I deal with, and it has it affects me on a daily basis when I go out into the world, and I'm just trying to figure out how to live, to enjoy this life while I have it.
You have an interesting view on the internet and how you can easily get lost on the internet for several hours, but
Yeah.
you don't want to have a computer in your bedroom. And I wanted to get your views on social media. You feel it's things like Facebook and Twitter present a warped vision, and it's like a unicorn land you've mentioned. I mean, tell us more about your views on social media and not wanting a computer in your room because you'll never get nothing done.
Well, I don't do very good with that. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I do well with it, and sometimes I stay up till 3 or 4 in the morning. You know, just I think, you know, it has to do with the fact that I love it so much. Well, at least the internet itself, Facebook and Twitter and those things. That's a different thing. I don't love those. Sometimes I think they're great and awesome, and sometimes I really hate them. You know, I go back and forth. But I also think it can be a huge waste of time. You know. But I don't go there very much. I will say that I don't go to Twitter and Facebook very much at all. However, I am on the internet a lot. I mean, it's amazing, especially for somebody who's as fascinated with languages as I am. You can read the newspaper in any language, you can watch the news in any language on YouTube, you can watch television shows and clips from you know, television all over the world on YouTube, and it's just amazing. I heard there's something like 100 hours of content go up on YouTube every minute.
Wow. It's stunning, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's an amazing thing. It's an amazing resource. But for somebody like me, I mean, it's just another thing that I get lost in and use to distract myself from what's important. And getting sleep is really important, especially as you start to get older and you start to realize just exactly how important it is. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't quite turned into the guy that doesn't look up from his phone when he's walking around. But you do see a lot of people like that.
That's it, yeah.
And I find it horrifying how many people think that you can text and drive.
A few years ago, you were nominated for Best International Solo Artist alongside Eminem, Justin Timberlake and Bruno Mars at the Brit Awards. What was that experience like for you?
It was cool. I mean, to tell you the truth, I don't really like to sit anywhere for 6 or 7 hours, or, you know, I mean, or be anywhere for that amount of time. I mean, it was an exhausting evening, you know, but I got to meet Boy George there that evening, and that was probably the highlight of the evening for me. Seeing Prince was there.
Wow. Yeah.
You know, he's imprinted on me as well, even though I don't really talk about him much, because, you know, When Doves Cry and Computer Blue and a lot of the songs from Purple Rain, and a lot of the songs, you know, like Cream and, you know, Raspberry Beret, a lot of the percussion and sounds that he uses, 1999, I Would Die For You, that's stuff that, you know, just like the first Eurythmics albums, the second 2 Eurythmics albums too, are permanent, you know, in my mind.
Dinosaurs are something that when you were growing up, dinosaurs were like a big thing, and you were always collecting merch. I mean, even in the wake of the latest Jurassic Park, did that come into play?
I love dinosaurs. You know, I loved my dinosaur models when I was a kid, but I didn't have the guts to paint them. You were actually supposed to paint them. But if I had tried to paint them, I knew that it was going to be a disaster, so I didn't do it. I had seen the way people had painted them professionally in like shops and stuff, and I thought, oh, okay. But I had all these snapped together dinosaur models when I was a kid, and on both of my Facebook pages right now I have retro or vintage advertisements from those exact models that I got for Christmas.
Wow.
Which is so yeah, I mean, opening those on Christmas was a big deal for me, and playing with my dinosaurs, knowing all the names was important to me, and so I really, really love it when I meet kids who are into dinosaurs too, and we can talk about that, and because it's a bonding point, and you know, it's not always easy to get to know kids. You know,
Yeah,
it's scary, you know, sometimes.
You recently went to Japan for the first time. I mean, what was that experience like for you?
somebody said to me it's like going to the future, and that's what it felt like to me, you know. I've just wanted to go there for a long time, and I got to meet one of my music heroes, Toshinori Kondo. It was just so fantastic, and they were really gracious to us, and I had a great time there. I was just fascinated by everything. I'm just, you know, looking around like a little boy. And so I just want to go back, and, you know, I immediately bought some books to start learning the language, and it's beautiful.
What matters most as you head forward? What do you hope to maintain and stay true to?
Well, yeah, I just hope that I don't ever listen to people who are telling me that I should be doing this now or I should be doing that now. I hope that I'll just follow my heart and do what I feel like I need to do, and that I won't just put something out because I feel like I want to keep momentum going in my career. I just want to make sure that I stay true to myself, you know, to the extent that I'm able to do that. I mean, I make mistakes all the time, so, you know, it's a constant struggle, but I don't want to put out anything that I'm not proud of, you know.